Hi, welcome back to the Story Hour podcast, Voices Unscripted, Stories Rewritten with your host, Sarah Jaswal. I am back for another solo episode. I am writing solo today. If you listen to the last episode on the Story Hour podcast, I had my first guest on there, Tara Accardo, and we talked about all things grief and loss, parent loss, traumatic birth story, and all the things. If you haven't listened to it, please go check it out. It was filled with lots of vulnerability, connection, and just storytelling and ways that we can rebuild our life after loss. I am back today, and honestly, it's been a little while since I have recorded an episode, and I felt this urge to want to come on here and talk and just share and just really have a conversation. I don't really have too much planned. I kind of have somewhat of an idea and more so maybe just a life update, just things that I've been navigating that I think are going to be really applicable to others as well. And so, yeah, let's just have a conversation. I don't know where this is going to take us, but again, I felt this desire wanting to come on here and just chat. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a transition. I have to say, if you've been listening to my podcast and all the episodes, you know that talking a lot about summer and then transitions not only in the seasons as we are now full on into fall, but just metaphorically as well, just with what's happening in life. And it's been a lot. And honestly, I've been having a really slow burn. I didn't expect this. I thought I would transition and September would have just been such a smooth transition over. But I have to say, it's taken me a while and I'm finally getting back into some sort of routine and getting back into my morning daily practices, getting up at a proper time, going to sleep at a proper time. And I don't know why, but I did not expect that. It's been really slow. September was basically a little bit of a write off. And so that was a bit disappointing because in my mind, I had all the intentions to get right back into it in September, and I thought I would have, but I've just been navigating a lot. I've talked about this before. I struggle with chronic fatigue often throughout the year, on and off. And I think a lot of that has to do with the grief and loss because it impacts us psychologically. It definitely impacts us physiologically as well. And so when you're in this constant state of grief and just navigating everything around that, your body is just tired. You're holding on to so many emotions and all of that. And even though you're expressing yourself and you're releasing them, you're doing the work, it's still there. It still lives in within you. And as long as you're living with your loss, you're going to grieve that for the rest of your life. And so, anyways, that's something I've been navigating. I think that was a big reason why it took me a long time to get back into a little bit of a routine. And now that I'm doing that, 1% shifts every day and taking action is what's helping me build and stack upon those habits. I've talked about this a lot, but just to reiterate, and this is what feels good for me and keeps me grounded is meditation, journaling, walking, getting outside, moving my body, reading, all the things. And so I've been incorporating that back into my life because in the summer, I kind of lost myself a little bit intentionally as well. All the things that we know we should be doing, but they fall to the wayside. So here I am. It is October, mid-October. How crazy is that? We just here in Canada celebrated Thanksgiving here, and that was really amazing. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays, and this year for the first time, it was very nourishing. It was very connecting. My heart feels so full of love and gratitude and connection, and just the memories that were made this past weekend was just so special to me. And I think that's what Thanksgiving is about. And I know we don't need a weekend or a day to celebrate that, but I think it just really helps to hone in on that gratitude and the thankfulness and just how blessed we are to live and be alive and to experience the human experience and ride the waves and be with family and loved ones and friends. And yeah, it was so great for me. And I shared this actually on my social media in a post, but I was doing a lot of reflecting, and I think fall also brings that upon us, upon me. Is this like really deep slowing down and turning inwards, and just this sense of gratitude and reflecting on life and all that there is, all that we have, and how beautiful this really is. And so I feel very connected and nourished with that. It was so beautiful. I have so much to be thankful for, so much to be grateful for. And at the same time, I want to share and bring you into a little bit more of a deeper dive into my life and my world and talk a little bit about the grief. I think that's where I'll start off and see where this conversation takes us, just to give you insight on what it's like to live with grief and loss every single day, to be having to navigate that. And just another layer of my story that I don't talk about enough, but it's something that's very present and I can even feel the emotion right now. So I may even cry as I'm sharing, but I'm just gonna let it flow, just whatever's coming through for me. And I think it's just really alive right now, and I just need to speak it into existence and also just to share it because I really want to normalize how complex grief is. And I know I've talked about it a lot, but this is something that's so personal to me, and it's something that brings up a lot of emotions. It brings up a lot of anger. It brings up a lot of just the grief around not having my full sight. And so this past weekend, there was an incident that happened, and it really, yeah, it really got me in my feels. It really got me in my grief, and something that I've been noticing a lot the last couple of months as well, like after the summer transition, is I've been feeling a lot of anger when it comes to my grief and loss and just my life living with vision loss and not having full sight, having all these restrictions and all these limitations put on me. Because of that, I am really struggling with that, and I'm feeling a lot of anger. And that's really not normal for me. And that's something I think a lot of us do struggle with because most of us don't know how to release our anger. There's a lot of stigma around anger in our world, collectively, societally. But that's really unhealthy. Anger, like any other emotion, like when we're sad, we cry. It's the same thing with anger. When we're feeling anger, we need to have an outlet to be able to release it, to be able to express it. Otherwise, it's going to fester in our body and it can become really unhealthy to have that stored in your body. And then, usually, when that happens, something will trigger us and it can end up expressing in a very explosive way, in a very dangerous way. And so, we obviously don't want that. And I didn't realize this till 2 years ago. I won't get into the full detail of how this happened, but I realized for the first time that I don't actually express my anger. I can cry. I'm very easily upset and sad, and I can cry, like, for days on end, really. But I've realized I've never really expressed my anger, and I think a lot of times there's a lot behind that, and not just for me. So whatever I'm sharing, I hope it can apply to your life too, but just generally speaking as well. It's just easy for me to share my story and have you relate to that. But yeah, I think just a lot of just the toxicity around the anger growing up in households that weren't healthy, that were toxic, that were very anger filled. Things were always shut down and you're not able to express yourself and like all those things. And again, no fault to anyone. It's just the way it is. It's just the way the generations have evolved over time. But yeah, I've never really been angry. Go to emotion and not consciously, like unconsciously, it's just I start crying. And I've realized 2 summers ago, like, oh my gosh, I actually don't express my anger, but there's so much anger within me. Like, why wouldn't there be? I've lost something so precious and prevalent in my life. So that came up 2 years ago, and I've been trying to work through it, but I'm being very honest, like, it's hard. It's really hard. I've brought this up in therapy, and my therapist has tried to help me go into that anger and express it in a healthy way, and I have a really hard time with it, and I think it goes back to just not being able to do it, and I think the stigma around it, and I don't know, I actually don't know entirely what it is, but I can maybe assume a few things. Also, when I say in a healthy way, I think it's very healthy, like I said, to express it. You don't wanna go causing harm to anyone else. You're not gonna go beat someone else up. You're not gonna go be aggressive, whether that's verbally or physically to someone else. You're not gonna sit there and smash windows and cars and, like, all of that. Healthy expression, healthy anger, there are ways to do that, and I'll provide some of those for you, but just kinda going back to why I haven't been feeling so great, and it's taken me so long to get back into a little bit of a routine and feeling a lot more grounded, like, today I feel a lot more grounded than I have probably in the past month or so. And it's because I've been struggling with the anger. And so, as you all know, I have a chronic eye condition and it's really impacted my night vision and my peripheral vision. So, I'm allowed to drive legally. I'm allowed to drive. I have to go through testing. I've passed all the testing, both in clinic and road assessment. My road assessment, I actually passed with flying colors because I can compensate for my peripheral vision by doing shoulder checks. And I nailed the road test every time, like flying colors, probably 100%. It's the in clinic because I can't see things. So it's the actual acuity and my actual vision itself that is what's causing the problem. So, anyways, I can drive, but I can only drive during the daytime. So I don't drive at night. And even when it's like close to getting dark, so it might still be like right before the sun setting, I still have issues because of the light really glares and it really bothers my eyes. So I really have a shorter window when it comes to the fall and winter. And so I'm in that transition right now. And I mean, I'm used to it because I know it's coming. And so I sit in anticipatory grief. So I like prepare myself and I know it's coming, but it doesn't make it easier. I just want really people to understand that because I think a lot of times people think, well, it's coming or like it is what it is. And yeah, of course, like I know that nothing's changing. My vision isn't that part of my vision is likely I'm not getting that back. So I've come to learn to accept it to a certain extent, but I don't think I'll ever fully be okay with that 100%. But I know it's my life and I know I have no other choice. I know I have to deal with it. I know I have to do a workaround during these fall winter months, and that's fine. But it doesn't take away from the grief and the anger and the sadness. And so I was noticing that the last month or so, and I'll give you a really good example of what that looked like for me. I talked about this earlier too, but I wanted to join a sport. I wanted to get active. I wanted to meet new people. I wanted to put myself out there. I joined volleyball. I took lessons in the summer and it was amazing. I loved it so much. I loved being just a part of that. And I'm learning a new skill and I'm being active, which is so important to me. And so I finished that and it was in the summer. So I had no problem getting there on my own. I had no problem driving myself back. And then they were offering a fall season of lessons and I was like, "Oh, that'd be really nice." Again, it'll get me out of my house because I'm home all the time by myself, especially in the winter because my driving window is so limited and like I don't really go anywhere else. And so it's like, oh, that'd be really nice to strengthen my skills. And it was the same coach and a few of the members in the summer class were joining in the fall. And I remember right away, I was like, no, I can't. I can't because the days are getting shorter and I won't be able to drive because it was only offered in the evening. And so I kept saying no. A couple of the people had asked me, and I'm like, no, I can't. And it always brought something up, and I'm like, "I want to," but the only thing that was stopping me was I can't drive, and then in my head, I'm like, "Well, then I'm gonna have to figure out, like, who can take me? How am I gonna get there? Is taking an Uber gonna be practical, like, affordability-wise? It doesn't make sense." So already in my head, you're already bouncing all these ideas off your head and it's draining. It's so fucking exhausting trying to figure that all out. And yeah, of course, like eventually it's worked out. But in those moments when I talk about the chronic fatigue and the fucking grief, just the grief and loss that's just like so ingrained in our bodies within us because you're having to deal with it every single day. And these are just reminders of, well, you have vision loss and you have no sight and you're not allowed to drive. So it reminds you of your restrictions. It reminds you of your limitations. It's just a lot. And so I put it off because all summer I'm like, "No, I can't do it, I can't do it." But then I would come home and then I'd be upset. Like, I was upset and then I started to feel angry. I started hearing my say like, "Fuck, like, this fucking sucks." And that's the anger. That's the anger in me. I normally don't do that because I normally just cry, but now at this stage in my grief and loss and maybe where I'm at in life, maybe all the therapy and all of the inner work that I've done, that the anger is now here, like it's on the platter for me, like, "Sarah, let it go, release it." And so maybe I think that's what's coming up now. And so I've been feeling that. And I know a lot of people don't curse or they don't like that, but I'm okay with that. I do it a lot. I've always been like that. As long as it's not towards someone, I think it's actually okay and I actually think it's healthy. So when you do hear me say fuck or, this fucking sucks, like that's actually okay. And I think a lot of times we look at people when they do that and we judge them, we shame them, we ridicule them, or we make it mean something, but it's not, it's the anger. And so I just want to preface that. I mean, I've been doing this for a while. So if you've been following me, you know me, you watch my episodes, you follow me on social media, you know that I do curse, but not towards anyone. It's just the anger within my own story that's coming through. And so, yeah, back to the volleyball, I felt angry, and then I'd think about it again, and then I would be like, "Okay, how can I make this work? Like, what can I do? How can I get my parents' help or my brother-in-law's help?" Because my sister guys live right there, trying to figure it all out. And again, like, this is exhausting, and then you're also dealing with the loss. Like, I just wish I can drive my own car. I wish it wasn't so complicated and so complex. I wish I could just register for something and pick up my car and go without having to worry about, will I have enough time to come back? Well, if it ends at 6 o'clock and it gets dark around like 5:30, the class is 5 to 6. So that means that's actually not going to work because it's right middle of my class time. So you're like going back and forth. You're trying to problem solve and come up with solutions all while grieving the loss of something. And this is what I mean with the chronic fatigue and the anger. Like, it's just so much, and it's so much to deal with, and it's a lot. And so I try to give myself grace. I try to give myself compassion because I think it's okay. I don't want to sit here and gaslight myself and just tell myself it's going to be okay and this and that, because that's not healthy either. I'm very much one to name my emotions or name my situation. Like, this sucks. I am not okay with this. In what universe, in what world is anyone okay with having the loss of one of their senses? I don't think anyone would be. And insert any loss. No one wants that. And so all the repercussions that happen from that one loss is just, it's a lot. And so, uh, whatever. Fast forward, I really wanted to do it. I was telling my brother-in-law about it, and he had offered to help me. And I guess my mom overheard me. I didn't want to burden my parents because I'm like, well, then they're gonna have to drop me off, then they're gonna have to wait around, then they're gonna have to pick me up, whatever. And so I do struggle with that still. Like, I have no problem asking for help. And at the same time, I still feel this amount of guilt. I feel this amount of burden. Like, oh, I feel so bad. Everyone else is so busy in their lives and they have their own stuff going on. It's like right after work, it's peak traffic time, like all the things. And so I didn't really want to ask my parents, but my mom had overheard my conversation with my brother-in-law. And of course, my parents are amazing. They would take a bullet for any of us, and they've done and provided so much for me and for us. And I don't take that for granted. I still feel bad though. And even though they've told me they're going to do it, they're my parents. Of course they are. And it's just something that I struggle with still, is asking for help because, again, I feel bad, but then also I'm like, I just wish I can do it. And I don't want to be so enmeshed with my parents in that context. And I know I kind of have to a little bit because that's just my situation. And there are parts of me that's okay with that. But then there's times when I have to drive with them all the time and this and that. And it has nothing to do with my parents. It's a me thing. It's a grief thing. And I'm just like, I don't want to be like, sometimes you just don't want to be around anyone. You just want your own music. You want to be in your own car. You want to be independent. You want to have authority over your vehicle and over how you're getting to places and on your timing. And that's the other thing, right? Timing shifts when you're on someone else's time. Of course, you're going to accommodate that. Why wouldn't you? But like, my point here is, if you can really grasp what I'm talking about underneath all that, it just sucks. It's like there's so much restriction limitations, and the frustration that I started to feel around this and why I'm sharing the volleyball incident is because I just felt so much anger. I remember the first day that I could have actually driven there and back, but I didn't want to risk it. And so, anyways, my mom took me and she waited around, and I felt so bad about that because she went to the store for half an hour and then came back, and she just sat in her car and waited for me. And yeah, they've told me 1,000,000,000 times that they're okay with that. Like, they just sat on their phone. They would do the same thing at home. But for me, it's just this guilt, and I just feel like a burden. And I remember driving home, and I was just internally, I didn't want to say anything in front of my mom, but I was just so mad. Internally, I could hear myself saying, fuck, this fucking sucks. I wish I could drive my own car. Like, why is this happening? And that's anger. And It's so hard because you don't even know what to do with it. And again, I can even feel the emotion. Like there's anger there, but there's also a deep sadness and that deep grief that follows that. And yeah, of course, it's interconnected. And I just remember being so on edge. And even my mom caught it. Like, she's my mom. She catches on to everything. Even if I haven't seen her or talked to her, she'll call and she'll be like, "What's wrong?" And I'll be like, "Oh, nothing." And she'll be like, "I know something's wrong." And I also think that's like really crazy. But like a mother's love is just something else. She always knows. It's happened multiple times where she'd call and she would just know, and it's usually in those moments that she calls and just has a sense, she has an intuition, she knows she's connected to me so deeply, as any mother and child would be. She just knows, and usually in those moments, she's right, and I'm in, like, the depths of despair is usually what happens. I'm just on edge, I'm irritable, I notice that, I'm short, I'm snappy, and that all started to happen with the volleyball incident. And in that same breath, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful I have help. I'm so grateful I have support. I'm so grateful I still have a lot of my vision compared to people who are blind, fully blind, or have very, very minimal vision. I understand all that, but with my situation, I'm still grieving. I still don't have my vision, full vision to be able to do these things. And just nighttime, right? Now that we're entering into like late October, early November, it's just a reminder I can't do a lot and my whole schedule shifts. I remember feeling a lot of anger. I feel like my life is put on hold. I want to go. There's no other reason why I can't and do these activities and do these things, but it's a driving thing hinders me. And just to reiterate, I think a lot of people think, well, just take an Uber, just take a taxi, whatever. We live in 2025. Finances are a big deal right now, and it's not practical for me to jump in an Uber there and back all the time, depending on wherever I'm going. I take Uber, but it's not practical for me to be taking that every single week, twice a week, and then it's actually going to cost me more to take the Uber than it was to actually pay for my lessons. It's just not practical, and I don't have the means to do it. Maybe if I had the means to do it, that's a different story, but again, that doesn't take away from the grief and loss, and it's not that easy. Again, of course, I have to learn how to problem solve, and I did figure it out. We have a system amongst my family and myself, and it's working. We're a couple of weeks in, and it's fine. It's great, and I'm happy. I'm okay with it. Not fully, but I'm okay that I can still go and that I'm not just homebound because of that. But it's just one of those things. I just feel like I'm constantly chasing time. I feel like I'm chasing time from the second I wake up to the time it gets dark. I'm on edge. I'm anxious because if I want to do something and I want to drive on my own, I have to do it in a limited time period. So I can't just sit around all day and at like 5 p.m. be like, you know what? I feel like going for a walk. I feel like going to the beach. Or you know what? I feel like grabbing dinner. I don't really feel like cooking. I want to go pick something up or I want to go eat somewhere. I can't do that. I have to pre-plan my day all the time. And it's constantly like looking at the clock, chasing the clock, or trying to figure out, okay, well, if I leave now, depending on where I'm going, how far is it going to take me? How much time do I plan on spending there? And what time would I have to leave there to give me enough time to get back, to be able to get back at a decent time before it gets dark? So this constant, just on edge, I'm constantly chasing the clock. It's like I don't have the freedom to just pick up and go when I want. And that's also something that came to my forefront really clearly the last couple of months, and I'm struggling with that. I hate being on a clock all the time. I'm sharing all this because I'm giving you insight on what it's like in my day to day. When I talk about grief and loss, and I talk about it a lot for a reason. Professionally, it's my work. This is what I do, and this is my personal life. And my whole purpose here is to shed light onto it and bring awareness to it, and also just to educate everyone on it. Is like what happens. And this applies all across the board for grief, right? But I'm just using my example and what's been happening with me and why I haven't even recorded a podcast episode because I was in such a good rhythm with it is because my eyes haven't been feeling good. And that also makes me upset because I'm like, no, I want to have a set schedule with the podcast. I have this vision for it and I want to be more consistent, but my vision just doesn't allow me to do it. My eyes they're adjusting to the seasons, just with the change of weather and the time and the daylight, the brightness, the darkness. And then just being on the screen. It's a lot, like I mentioned, that's been really hard. And so just to give you an idea of why sometimes the episodes are spread apart, like right now, I'm looking at the screen and it's okay because I'm not having to really focus or read anything, but I'm still glaring at the screen. And after that, then I have to edit it. And editing takes a long time. And then at that point, I have to really focus because I'm reading the transcription and I'm editing and I'm really having to pay attention. So my eyes work double, triple time when I have to do work like that, when I'm actually reading things and having to research and, making sure things are clear versus me just sitting here having a conversation. And so that's a lot too. And that adds to the frustration. But a part of me was like, I really wanted to come on. I'm like, oh, it's been so long. Like, I miss it. I love doing this. I love connecting in with you all who are part of the Story Hour podcast community. I love you guys. I see you. I hear you. I feel you. I really appreciate all that you are doing, downloading the episodes, subscribing to the episodes. It really means a lot to me. And I think we're building a really amazing community here. And I just appreciate that so much. And I also, because it is the Story Hour podcast, and I'm all about storytelling and conversations and being raw, bringing in my humanness and bringing in where I'm at, because I think that's really important. And I'm really big on that. Just by me sharing my own vulnerability. Oh my gosh. I really hope it inspires you as well. And, it can be a really great strength, especially when it's done with good intentions. So that's where I've been at. And the incident that happened, which I haven't shared this with anyone. So it was Thanksgiving. As I mentioned, my vision's really bad at nighttime. Like, I'm afraid of the dark. I feel very uneasy. I have to carry a flashlight with me, a bright flashlight that has really bright LED light type of flashlight. It's a pocket size, and I carry that with me. I even shared this in one of my social media posts that I actually have a sticky note on my door, like my front door, that says flashlight. And it's a reminder for me to take my flashlight and toss it into my purse or my bag when I'm leaving, because sometimes I forget and then I panic when I'm out. And so this past weekend, we had family Thanksgiving dinner and we were leaving my cousin's house and I had my flashlight on. I was holding a coffee mug in one hand and I was walking down the stairs. I walked down the stairs fine. My mom was right beside me and she's usually there to just help me in case I need any help. And so I had my flashlight on. Everything was great, but I guess my flashlight wasn't pointed properly to all my front surroundings and I didn't see the bench and I walked right into the bench, like really hard. And I felt it. I felt the impact as soon as I hit the bench. And it hurt. It hurt a lot. It's bruised right now and it was a little bit scratched. I felt it right away. And luckily, nothing else fell out of my hand or nothing. I didn't fall. I just hit the bench and then I caught myself. And I remember just getting into the car and I was just so upset. This hasn't happened, I don't think ever really. Maybe not. Maybe I can't really fully recall, but this was the first time that this has happened like this. And then I went home, went to sleep the next morning. I was really upset because it's a safety thing and that terrifies me. That scares the living crap out of me because I don't feel safe at night. And it's something I struggle with all the time. And that's why when I say I'm afraid of the dark, that's what I mean. That incident just really, really shook me. I was just really shook by it. And it was just a reality. It was a reality of my situation and of how things are progressing and how my night vision is not, is worse than it was many years ago. Um, yeah, this is it. This is the real, the raw, the unfiltered, uncensored, unscripted um part of the Story Hour podcast. This is my story. And I don't know. I don't even know. It's so fresh, this whole thing. and the anger's there. I let myself feel it, and I remember just raging, just raging. So one side was like the grief and the sadness, and the other side of it was the anger. And the words that came out of my mouth were fuck vision loss. Fuck everything. Fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. That's how I felt. That was the anger. That was the grief. That was just so present. That is so present in my heart, in my body, in my soul, in my mind. Like, that's how I feel. And it just sucks, right? It is what it is. I cannot change it. I've put blood, sweat, and tears into my health for the last 7.5 years. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. And it just fucking sucks. I don't know how else to word it or to say it. It just sucks. And this incident, waking up, seeing the bruise, seeing the scratches, it was very minor, but it still happened. I still hurt myself. That's the point. I'm still walking, like I'm fine. I'm totally fine. But it still happened. It's still there. It's still a reminder that this could happen again. And it probably will. It's so many things that come through with it. And this is just thoughts that cross my mind is like, what am I going to do when I have kids? That's something that comes through a lot when I think about my vision is what would happen? Like, how would I care for my child? These are my own thoughts because I'm not there yet. I'm not in this situation. I know people who are blind and have kids. I know people who are very low vision that have children. So I know it's possible. But for me, because I'm not there yet, those are the intrusive thoughts and just the spiral that happens. And it's inevitable. You can't avoid that. And when this happened, I just remember thinking, like, holy fuck, I can't even support myself. How am I going to support my child? I can't even go anywhere because I can't drive at night. So what does that mean for my kids? Like, all these things, that's one example. But just to give you insight on, like, oh, the roller coaster of emotions and thoughts and feelings and darkness and all of it. I got diagnosed in 2012. So I'm 13 years into this journey of vision loss. And yeah, here I am. I'm still in it. I still ride the waves. I still fall into the different stages of grief. I still go through the up and down. And again, I'm 13 years in. So I share all of this to really just paint a picture of what grief and loss looks like and feels like. And most people you won't get it until you're in it. You just won't. And people who have profound grief and loss, whether they've lost a loved one, a mother, a father, a sibling, a grandparent, whatever it is, someone so close and so precious to you, whether it's that or whether it's a non-death loss, your physical abilities, having a chronic condition that you're faced with day after day after day, like whatever it is, it truly is a day-to-day thing. Some days are okay and some weeks are fine and so you're great and months go by and maybe even longer than that. And at the same time, a lot of times you're going moment by moment when it comes to grief and loss. And it just is. I didn't expect to get this emotional sharing that. But again, I'm not one to shy away from that. I think it's actually really, really helpful to not hide it and just really show you that vulnerability and the authenticity of it. I'm not just here for views or for likes or for any of that garbage. Like, no, if you know me and you know my story and you following me for a long time, you know there's a reason why I started the Story Hour podcast. You can even go back to episode 1 and 2 and listen to those. And so this is what I'm trying to bring here is that education piece, the inspiration, the empowerment, the storytelling, the conversations, the shedding light onto topics that aren't talked about enough. And it's something that I felt really helped me in my journey. And it's just something that I feel is missing in the world. And this is why I'm bringing it to you. There's no hierarchy here. I'm not better than anyone. There's no you're up here, I'm down here, or vice versa, or whatever. We're just all trying to figure it out. We're all doing life at the same time in our own ways and figuring it out how we can. And as long as we can help each other and support one another and just share ourselves with one another, I think that's where the healing happens. I talk a lot about my brand is community connections and collective healing, right? Like we heal in community. We heal individually, of course. We have to do the work, and a lot of it is internal. You have to go really deep within yourself to heal those wounds and all of that. But we also heal in community. And to me, this is community. You listening right here, or you watching, if you like to watch these, is that you're a part of my community. You're a part of the conversation. And this is how collective healing works, right? Like one person takes something out of what we're sharing or what I'm sharing and really hones in on that and was like, that was really helpful, or that really provided a lot of perspective for my experience. I actually don't feel alone. And this is why I do what I do also is the amount of messages I get from people who say, wow, thank you for putting words to what I couldn't put words to or what I couldn't find the words for. Thank you. I feel less isolated. Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your transformation and your struggles and empowering me to continue to keep going. That I've been receiving messages since I started this whole thing. I think I started sharing openly and vulnerably in 2019, I think it was. Those are the messages that I receive, and that's what fuels me. Sometimes when I get stuck and I'm in this like unknown and uncertainty, I reflect back on those messages. Sometimes I'll even go back if I have them and I'll read them because it's what fuels me. It's what fuels me to keep going because I'm human and I still struggle. I still have the insecurities and I still wonder if what I'm saying is landing or not. A lot of people, most people don't actually engage with people's content, but they're listening, they're watching. And so for me, that's what keeps going is these messages. And I remember saying this 6.5 years ago when I started sharing all this. It's like, if I can only reach one person, my job is done. And this is why I do what I do. And so if you're wondering or if you're new here, this is why I've created the brand that I've created. This is why I've created my business and the way I've created it. This is why I've created the Story Hour podcast. This is the next iteration of my personal life and my professional life. And I don't know where I'm going from here, but I thrive off of this. This is very therapeutic for me and it fuels me just as much as it fuels you. And so I really appreciate that. And so, yeah, I don't know where that was going, but that was the anger that came up through me. And I'm still navigating it. My leg is still a bit bruised, but I'm okay. And I'll get through it just like I have the last 13 years. And it's a moment in time and it's a really big moment, I have to say, that happened. And it worries me. Like I'm scared of what that means for my future, what that means for accessibility. The fall, winter brings that up because I think about winter time or Christmas time when there's outdoor activities like going to see the lights or whatever it is that's outdoors. Even Halloween. I'm not a big fan of Halloween, but like whatever activities there are, or going with my nieces and nephews to like go do Halloween. Those things I'm restricted. I feel limited in those. And oh, see? It's just so alive. I can feel it. It's like in my heart, the grief and just the sadness. I feel like I'm missing out on life in a way. This is probably why I also am just feeling unmotivated a little bit, and it took me a while to get back into even just recording this. This time of year is just really hard, and I feel like I miss out on a lot, but I'm letting it flow clearly. I'm allowing myself to release it. Some tools for you within this, because that's also a big part of what I like to do, is to encourage you to use the tools and resources that I talk about and share is how do we express our anger in a healthy way? Because again, smashing windows, breaking cars, doing anything violent, any crimes, physical, verbal abuse, aggression against anyone else is not okay. By any means, it's not okay. You need to find a healthy outlet for your anger. So journaling, help releasing your emotions, putting that energy somewhere, getting it out of your body and putting it somewhere. So journaling is one way. It's not all of it, and I don't think it's going to be everything, but it's one way. It's one avenue that you can take to just shift that energy, move that energy, that pent up energy that's in you, that's residing in you, and write it out. Physically write out and talk about the anger. Write in there. If it means screaming into a pillow is such a great somatic release of releasing anger. There's so much shame and judgment around it. But again, we need to get it out. That energy needs out. It needs to be expressed. It needs to come out of you, because the more you let it sit in there, the more you let it fester, the more it lives in your body, the more harm it's going to cause you. It can cause health issues. It's going to cause emotional burden. There's so much that can happen. You're going to feel really sick and really unwell if you let your emotions fester, especially anger. Another way is, and my instructor who certified me as a grief educator, David Kessler, actually, he's a grief expert, and he shared in our training what he does. And I thought it was so profound. And I remember him actually starting off by saying, some people will judge this or some people will have something to say, but that's because people are just not educated on grief and loss. And there's so much stigma around anger. What he said he does, he has a bat by his bed. And when his grief comes up and he's feeling the anger or whatever it is, he takes a bat and he hits the bat against his mattress or something soft. And he releases his anger that way. And I remember him sharing that. And I'm like, that is genius. That is such a great way to do that. You can do that in the comfort of your own home. You can do that safely. You're not harming anyone. And it's a way for you to release that anger, right? The motion of picking up a bat and using your strength and the technique of slamming the bat onto something, it's moving that energy. It's moving the anger. And you have a space to put that anger somewhere. That is really helpful. The towel twisting technique. You take a towel and you roll it up. And then so you're holding the towel like this. And then you just twist as hard as you can into the towel. It's as if you're wringing it out. You know, when the towel is wet and you wring it out to get the water out, that's what you can do. That's such a great one. I've shared that with clients before and they love it. And they're ones who are new to expressing their anger and find these practices kind of just out there. And they've come back to me and said, wow, that was really helpful. And one of my clients shared with me, it was like the motion of doing that. It's like squeezing out the anger. So the technique, the movement in your hands, like all of that helps to release the anger. That's something you can do in the comfort of your own home, right? You can do that anywhere. Breath work is also a really great way to release anger. And whether that's just like taking intentional breaths at home throughout your day, or maybe having a morning and evening practice where you're just breathing, and that can be really helpful as well. But also maybe even attending a breathwork session. There's so many breathwork facilitators out there that do individual sessions or group sessions. You're dropping into your body. So with anger, a lot of it is the somatic release. Somatic meaning in the body, because anger lives in the body. The talk therapy and talking is not going to help your anger. You need to find an outlet. You need to find a way to get that out. Dancing is another one. Again, moving your body in whatever way, shape, or form that helps you is another great release. So those are all really good ideas of what you can do to healthily express your anger. And then, of course, speak to someone, talk to a therapist, talk to a well-trained coach who knows what they're doing and can support you in that, can help you process those emotions and allow you to unpack what's coming up for you. It's okay to feel anger. I really want to normalize that. Is that it's okay. It's okay to be mad, like really mad. It's okay to feel upset and so much anger and frustration with whatever situation that you're faced with. I know this isn't going to be forever. I have a lot of uncertainty ahead of me in a lot of aspects in my life. And a lot of it does have to do with the vision loss. That's the primary loss. And then there's so many other things that come with that. I'm just sitting in I'm in this transition phase, and not even just seasonally, but just with life, right? Like chapters close, new doors open, and there's a lot of fear around the unknown. And then sitting with the uncertainty of what's that going to look like, and letting go of things that no longer feel aligned, and knowing that you are making the right decision. But then there's a part of you, that fear of you that's like, are you sure? Should you be doing that? Should you just stay? Whatever it is, a lot of times doors need to close before new ones can open, before new opportunities can come through. And I really do believe that. But obviously, when you're in it, you're afraid, and it's scary. If you're in a season of transition and you're feeling the unknown or just uncertainty of where your life is headed or where you're going and what that looks like, I want to normalize that because I'm right there with you. I'm definitely in it, and I've taken some steps back in certain aspects of just my life, and I'm in a really slower season right now, and I think fall does that for a lot of us, but also intentionally, I'm doing that as well, and just feeling this sense of calm and peace of just turning inwards, being on my own a little bit, but like in a good way. I've been feeling that the last couple of weeks. I actually don't feel like connecting or socializing as much as I normally am. I think that's purposeful. I think it's actually okay. And I'm taking advantage of that and using this time to really turn inwards and do a lot of introspection and see what my next steps are, where my journey is going to take me. I do believe incredible things are on the way. I can only get better from where I am now, even if where you are, things always get better. We have to do the work, obviously. We have to put in the energy, the time, the commitment, the dedication, the discipline and all of that, but it usually works out a lot better than what we think. That fear is, I do believe, I actually did a meditation today and it was around fear and it really spoke to me in so many ways, but it was saying basically that fear that we feel, maybe it's just a way, it's a sign that's pushing you to move forward, to do bigger, to do better, because you're capable of it and your soul is ready for that next level and that next phase and the next iteration of your life. And maybe that's why we always have fear, and fear will show up all the time. But it's when the fear shows up, instead of pushing it away, it's inviting it in and actually talking to it and asking it, why, what do you want? Why are you here? What purpose are you serving? And if you can get really quiet with yourself and through all these grounding practices that I talk about all the time and get really quiet with yourself, I think a lot would be revealed to you. I think fear can be a really great teacher, as uncomfortable as it is. Trust me, every time fear comes up, and I laugh all the time because when I was working through fear with my therapist, he had said something about fear. My main instinct is I just want to push it away. Like go away, don't go anywhere near me. But that's not how it works. And so once I start to get quiet with myself and I start to unpack what is it actually trying to tell me and what is happening in my life right now that there's fear, it's usually when I'm in a season of change, when I'm ready to let go of something that's not serving me and I'm ready to expand and grow and evolve into this next version, into this next self. That's usually when the fear shows up. So it's almost a reminder, like, you're ready, you got this, your soul's ready, you can do more. I am going to be taking a little bit of a break. With all that said, I am doing a pretty big detox for myself, mind, body, spirit. If you know me, you know that I turn to alternative treatment and holistic health for my vision, and I very much live a very low tox lifestyle and have incorporated alternative treatment into my day-to-day lifestyle. And I like to detox a couple of times a year. I'm not going to be going to India anytime soon to get treatment for my eyes, so I figured I would do my own detox here. So I'll be going offline. I'm really gonna just turn inwards. It's 10 days. I'm starting November 1st. My plan is to just be off social media and all of that. And so that'll be exciting because a lot comes through for me when I'm really, really quiet. I am hoping that I can line up some guest episodes for you within, I guess, the next month or so. There are a couple people that I am in contact with, but scheduling isn't aligning for now. So I'm looking into November. So that'll be really exciting. And I think there'll be really great episodes and really shed light on topics that are so prevalent in our world today. So stay tuned for that. I'm not sure if I'll come back and do another episode before I go on my detox break, but I will see you all soon. And please, again, subscribe, download, like, share, save all of the podcasts. I'm on at the Story Hour podcast on all platforms. On TikTok, it's at the Story Hour podcast. That's where you can catch all the clips and the episodes. Thank you for everyone who is doing that. There's so many downloads already. I am so happy and so grateful for all of you. This is for you. This is for me. This is for us. We're all in this together. I'm in it with you. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for allowing me to share my heart with you, allowing me to be vulnerable and bringing you into my world, and also hoping to inspire and empower you that we can carry both grief and love in our hearts at the same time. And sometimes it's going to look messy. Sometimes it's going to look like anger. And sometimes it's going to look peaceful. Sometimes you're going to feel very okay with it. And life is going to go on and it's going to flow. And that's going to be so great. And so I just really want to remind you all that we can carry both grief and love at the same time. And that's been such a big reminder for me. And I keep hearing myself say that and feel that. And with the incident that happened this past weekend with the anger, is that I can carry both. Life is a both and, not an either or. And so I will leave you with that. And I will see you all soon.